Hey champions, blessed champions, another week of Champions League and the round of 16 has started. So we definitely have to talk about what happened this week, these 2 frantic days of Champions League and obviously everything that the matches left behind. Here on Falso Nueve Television, we analyze it. Don't miss it. Let's get started. Well, we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot to discuss. Honestly, because um, the round of 16 has started. It's no secret to anyone. The first leg matches. So let's talk a bit about what happened in each match, detail by detail, specifically about each game, precisely. And we're going to take our time to analyze what this first round was like in the first leg matches of the Champions League round of 16. Let's start let's start with the first match, which was without a doubt from my point of view a surprise to kick things off, not only because of how Galatasaray closed out the tie, but also because Liverpool had shown some improvement in their recent matches. And I think this result leaves uh, deja, just as you can see in the images, a bitter taste for Liverpool. Because without a doubt, they have not only a very deep roster, but they also have players who should set the trend. The difference in a match like this, the truth is, it never came about. And Galatasaray showed up to win 1-0, a narrow victory in Turkey. And also, not only did they win by the minimum, but they played in an organized way. They completely shut down Liverpool, who, although they had some chances and posed a threat, were neutralized to a certain extent by the Turkish team. We also have to mention the great work, the excellent tactical approach that the team put in place. And the very good partnership that both Bardaki and Davinson Sanchez formed there in the defensive line, which gives the team solidity. They didn't let Ekitike do anything, they didn't let him do a thing. Both of them were there, very well coordinated, and Galatasaray, more than just the narrow win, takes an important morale boost to England to face the match at Anfield. I think it's going to be a very, very nerve-wracking match. Also, I have to mention it, Urgun Karkakwir, the Galata goalkeeper, was also a pleasant standout. Now let's talk about Atletico de Madrid. 5-2, a handful from Atletico de Madrid. To Tottenham, who are going through some dark days. Honestly, the season is not going well. Tottenham, and although they had shown some flashes of good football in the Champions League, their current situation in the Premier League is not the best. Fighting to avoid relegation, battling for the spots at the bottom, quickly hiring and firing coaches very prematurely. And Atletico de Madrid, we already know, is the usual team that reaches the quarterfinals, that fights for that third place in La Liga. They looked very dominant in this first match at the Wanda Metropolitano, but it also reflects the current situation that Tottenham and Atletico de Madrid are experiencing. You can't ignore that they have names like Antoine Griezmann, Julian Alvarez, and even Cholito Simeone. But the truth is that Atletico de Madrid, it's tough, really tough, that they're going to aspire to fight for this Champions League. Especially because of this opponent, the opponent of this coach, Tudor, who exposed not only the goalkeeper, as you can see on the screen, the Czech. He makes him debut in a very intense match. He's not up to the level of the goalkeeper. Obviously, he ends up admitting his mistake, and around the 17th minute, he takes him out. That's why I insist that Tottenham's current situation is not good. It's not good at all. There are some very, very dark days. We have to mention the German power Many people can say that Bayern Munich is a contender. Bayern Munich is a contender. And yes, they are a contender to fight for this Champions League. And yes, they showed it with the match they played against Atalanta, against a team that maybe could. I don't know. It's the only Italian team they didn't get the most favorable draw, and they looked very vulnerable in many ways, especially defensively. And obviously, we can't ignore that Bayern Munich has players like Michael Ollis, players like Luis Diaz, players like Nicholas Jackson, who started because Harry Kane had a physical issue. They have players like Jamal Musiala, who left injured. They have very versatile players, and on top of that, a very well-connected team. So Bayern Munich is a contender. I just don't know to what extent. These players who still don't have that experience, who knows, mm, to be able to show their grit, their fuel, as the Argentinians would say, to prove that they really have that star quality, we'll have to see. Here, the tie seems to be well on track. We'll see in the second match, which will surely be much more intense, I imagine, because it will be. Also, in Germany, well, it's going to be more intense. And that's going to be reflected a bit in these statistics that you see on the screen. Two of the best wingers in Europe, Luis Diaz with 34 matches and Olise with 37 matches. And the statistics are very good, very good. It's a very good team. It's a very compact team. It's a team that has a lot to give, that has a lot to offer. Also, and we'll see, the truth is we'll see, because if they get through this round, if Real Madrid, which we'll talk about later, if Real Madrid qualifies, there could be a Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich matchup. So that's where Bayern really starts, because they couldn't do it with Arsenal. For example, we'll have to see. Let's talk about Barcelona. Barcelona has this. Barcelona not only has the experience, but also has players who at any moment can come up with a play. And just like Dani Olmo did, they come up with a penalty, which was well called, by the way, but they made it up. I mean, it came from an individual play that ended at the edge, entering the box and outmaneuvering the players. He didn't time it well, closed in abruptly, and ended up making the Spaniard fall. Newcastle was dominating the match, and simply in an individual play, the game was tied in just one. And this is Barcelona's DNA. It means that in moments of hierarchy, all the experience from the years from the Champions League titles that Barcelona has won comes out. This is what Barcelona means. So I think that even though the win would have been great for Newcastle, who played a really good match, they played really well. Well, this draw leaves a bittersweet feeling for the Magpies. Are they not going to qualify, especially since it will be decided in Spain? And on the other hand, there are the English. 1-1, and are you looking at the scoreboard with Harvey Barnes' goal near the end? It's already unlikely. Killing the second half, and in the last play of the match, there was the penalty on Dani Olmo, which Lamina ended up taking badly. Um, Newcastle played a very good match. They marked Lamine well, didn't give him much space, and Barcelona was uncomfortable when trying to create plays. They were very uncomfortable. And the truth is that the clearest chances were for Newcastle. Above all, they won on the wings. Anga broke through as much as he wanted for most of the game. Newcastle started very well, and there was a lot of tactical discipline, above all tactical discipline. We'll have to see next week if maybe Newcastle can pull off the upset, but we have to give Newcastle some credit for that. We also have to talk about Bayer Leverkusen. because Ezekiel Palacios played an amazing match. He played an amazing match. What he played is unprecedented in his career. I dare to say it. The match he played against Arsenal, Bayer Leverkusen, outstanding, closing down spaces, positioned very well in the middle of the field, making interceptions, being disruptive, not allowing the game to develop. And part of this result is thanks to Ezekiel Palacios. One by one, Bayer Leverkusen and Arsenal tied. And by the way, Arsenal was very uncomfortable. A goal from a corner kick that Andrik finished off with a great header. And this is a bit of their own medicine, Arsenal tasting their own medicine. Because we all know they have a lot of drive when it comes to set pieces or dead ball tactics. Well, Arsenal was very uncomfortable in Germany. They weren't allowed to play much and they couldn't create much either. There wasn't a man who stood out. Let's say a game changer. When it came to a la hora de creating that play that was needed, that play that Arsenal needed. It must be said that Mikel Arteta has a pretty tough task ahead for what's coming because they are going to play in England. And the match was very rough. In Germany, the match was very rough and it was very difficult for Mikel Arteta's team. So everything is still open. In this tie, we also have to talk about the surprise team of Europe. I thought it was going to be Sporting because they were playing well, they had a good rhythm. But lately, this team, Bodo Glimt, has won 5 matches in a row, winning 5 straight matches in the Champions League. Let me show you something important. There's the score 3-0. They beat Sporting 3-0, 3-0. With these kinds of players, but here's the most important thing. I'm going to show you this team. This team is the most important thing. Not a very modest lineup. All of you already know that you made history by knocking out Inter Milan, the current Champions League finalist. You made history and you made things really difficult for Sporting. But above all this, I think this is the most important thing, the tactical scheme that the team presents. A modest team. I repeat and insist not to discredit, mind you, not to discredit. I mean that it is a modest team. Because with what they have known how to work. With what they have created danger. With what they have shown that a team can compete. Even if, in quotes, it's a small team because this is a big club in Switzerland. A traditional 4-3-3 but more defensive, making the midfield very tough, not allowing the opposition to create, but making quick transitions where they move off the ball a lot. And I remember this player very well because I used him in Federación Internacional de Football Association Hauge. He's a very fast, very versatile player, and he offers a lot technically. So you have to keep an eye on Bodo Glimt, who are up 3-0 at the start of this series, which will be decided in Portugal. And to wrap up, because there is something I have to say at the end about Real Madrid, but to finish, let's talk about Paris Saint-Germain. Honestly, I saw Paris Saint-Germain as a bit weak. To be honest, I saw them as a bit weak. Let's say they're not having the best moment so far this season. They're really not. Honestly, Paris Saint-Germain is not having their best moment. It's been really hard for them after the Champions League title. It's been tough, honestly. It's been really hard for them. But Paris Saint-Germain has this. They also have this. They have Champions League nights. You know, they end up beating Chelsea 5-2. But they have these kinds of things. They have Champions League players like Vitinha, like Kvaratskhelia, like Ousmane Dembele and Vitinha. He plays whatever you want. Que ustedes quieran. Juega. He plays phenomenally. He plays at another pace, at another level. So watch out for Paris Saint-Germain, who could be, why not, repeating the title. We'll see, but I have to give an honorable mention to Enzo Fernandez. The truth is that he's the playmaker, the one who organizes, the one who creates the best opportunities for the team. And Enzo Fernandez is the number 10, wearing the number 8 jersey, because this player not only creates but also helps with defensive organization. He complements Caicedo a lot, for example. And even though he's a few meters ahead of Caicedo in front of the goal to create, he also has organization and helps out. So I have to give an honorable mention to Enzo Fernandez because I like Enzo's sombrero. He played well in the match against Paris Saint-Germain, even though they lost, not because they lost. And to finish, I wanted to talk about Real Madrid, but I actually need a whole video to talk about Real Madrid. I'd be here talking for an hour. So I'm going to leave you with another additional video analyzing Real Madrid's match, or rather talking about Real Madrid, so you can also chat with me. What did you think about these matches? Who is your favorite? Who is your favorite to win the Champions League, and which team is doing better? How about Barcelona? How about Newcastle? How about Bayern? How about Paris Saint-Germain? Do you like them? Who's going to be the champion? I'm reading your comments. We're reading them. In the comment box, if you have left your nice like, you help me by leaving your nice like. That way we can grow. That way we can keep growing as a soccer community. And obviously, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. We're going to talk about Real Madrid. See you. Bye-bye.